It's now time to escape the kitchen.
Hey guys, welcome to Behind the Scenes of Escape the Kitchen Editing. I edited 2 episodes this season. So this was my timeline for episode 202 with Zach and Vic. This was an episode where they made burgers and ended up doing like a drive-in where actually I was featured with Herbert. And this was my full timeline for episode 204 with Keith and Ryan. And this is an episode where they made like some kind of mushroom pastry thing. I don't actually know what it's called, but it was very, very fun to edit both. Today I'm gonna go over a few spots I edited that I think you guys might find interesting because it just had a little more creative direction. So overall, editing Escape the Kitchen is pretty straightforward. As you can see in the timeline, it's just 2 colors throughout because there are just 2 contestants competing. So we have Zach as green and Vic as pink color, and we just go back and forth between them. Unlike phoning it in or without a recipe where we have to keep cutting back to the chefs, this is just straightforward because we're just remaining with these 2 contestants. So it's fairly easy in that sense because we don't have to cut back to anything, and usually we don't have to change orders of anything unless, you know, the clues are coming at a different times. So this episode 202 was pretty straightforward until the end where they had this reveal, and when they went outside and ended up finding out that they have to serve their food to different customers. So in the second episode, one of the first clues they got was to knock things off the countertops like a cat. You know how cats like to go on countertops and just like take things down? This is what they were told to do. So, you know, as soon as they read that, they both started, you know, knocking stuff off. But if we just showed them knocking things off, it could be boring. That's why I created this fun sequence looking like this.
6, 7.
Adding this sequence was just so much more fun and, you know, animating the sequence, and I'm gonna show you guys how I did this. So usually I add music last, so I finish the cut and then add music. But in this case, I wanted it to be cut to music, so I chose a song first. You know, it's like whimsical, kind of like a cat, so I decided to use this song. And the beginning of the song is kind of quiet. It's a bit boring, right? So until this beat drops and the actual song starts, we don't want to start any action. So in the beginning, when it's just kind of a build-up, we're just gonna show this like introductory sequence of Vic starting to drop things. And once the beat starts right here, that's when we're gonna actually hit the action. It's perfect because when she says, oh, is that not enough? Here we go.
Oh, is that not enough? Here we go.
Here we go, and the beat drop. And if you listen to the song closely, there's din, 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 din. There's like 4 drops here, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this 4 beats, you wanna have 4 different actions going on. First, I chose this GoPro angle because it's a really cool angle when she's laying down. So this is gonna be the beginning shot. So around this time, when we hear the first beat, we're gonna make a change to this clip. What we're gonna do is we're gonna send it to the left. Go here, position. And that is going to create a keyframe right here so that this is where the position is at this time. But if we go a little bit forward, like around this much, now we're here. And then we decide to move this clip to the side. So it's about halfway there. Now you can see another keyframe has been created so that if you go back, it makes this movement. Now to make this smoother, I like to right click here, do temporal interpolation, ease out, and here also then ease in. What it does is kind of just smooths out the action. And now what we want to do is add another moment here because there is a blank spot. What I did was find another angle where she is doing this. So now we're going to add this as soon as this comes in. So I'm gonna bring it over here. We're going to add crop and move it to the side so that this is kind of already in the middle. Do you see what I'm talking about? We wanna add crop so that this is in the middle, and we don't want this to come in until this one has left. So when this has left, it's right here. I'm gonna keyframe, position, and before that, I'm going to make it gone. So what we're doing right now is adding keyframes so that when this escapes, this comes in. Did you see how it does that? Now what we want to do is have all this go up and have something else come from the bottom. So let's make this go up. Let's make this go up. So now you can see they're both going up at the same time. Okay, so now that this went up, we need something to come in here. So then I got this shot from Zach and then decided to put this here. So it's gotta go in when this is moving. So let's find the time when this is starting to move, which is right here. We're gonna keyframe here and in the beginning of the shot here. So from here, he's gonna start from the bottom and then he's going to come up. This is where he's gonna be at the end. But now you can see that he's kind of cut off, so I'm gonna add a crop so that we see him fully. And then I'm gonna add another keyframe to move this shot to the left. And as this goes to the left, we're gonna bring in a new shot, which is this one. So we have 4 shots, but here I didn't like how he was cut off. We'll just change an angle to something we can see him better. And I just added a new angle here to give a different perspective. So now all together, it looks like this.
Oh, is that not enough? Here we go. 6, 7.
And using these animations made the section flow faster and just made it more fun. Now let's move on to episode 204, which is not out yet, but coming out very soon. In this episode of Try Guys Escape the Kitchen, Keith and Ryan had to find a clue that was hidden in the candles. As you can see, there were lots of candles and they had to look through each one to see where the key would be. So in the edit, finding the key hidden in the candles only took them 1 minute and 22 seconds. But in real life, it took a lot longer. I'm gonna call them out, sorry guys. Let's see how long it took in real life. Until finding the key. Okay, so right here. So in real life, it took them 15 minutes for one person. So how did we put this 15 minutes of footage of 2 people looking for different things into 1 minute and 22 seconds? Well, the solution was to just kind of cut everything and only show interesting shots of them looking through different angles and talking among themselves. But you guys know me, I like to make these sections a little more interesting and more visually appealing if possible. So a little trick that I used here was I copied Ryan 3 different times that was kind of cut to the beat of the music so that, you know, we had this visual fun things appearing on screen while they were just looking through the clue. So the most important thing about creating these duplicate shots is to make sure that the shot itself is not moving. And in order to do that, I had to choose this angle because it was a GoPro that was mounted. This camera was not moving because all the other cameras were handheld cameras and they were not stable. We needed a stable shot like this one so I could copy him multiple times and not be worried that the shot's gonna be different. So after choosing this angle, we had a problem with the cameraman. He is in the shot, but we don't want to show him in this case. So what I had to do is go into an earlier shot. So I ended up going all the way back with the footage to find the time where the cameraman was not in sight. There we go. And the thing is, it had to be after the light turned off for the lighting to be the same. So right now, this is the little moment we have before the cameraman entered. So I'm gonna cut out from here to as long as we can before anyone entered. So around here, okay. So in this much footage, we have this section empty of the cameraman. And it's gonna be the easy trick, just add crop. So that the area with the cameraman will just be free. And we're gonna add a little bit of edge feather, so it's a bit more blurry. And now when I enable everything, now the cameraman is magically gone. You can see before and after. And we're just going to keep this going until this end of the sequence, which is really short. And then we're gonna add the 2 other Ryans. How we did this, we just kept going until Ryan is moved over here, and let's use this much of the section. So this will be the next shot, but we wanna show both Ryans here, right? So what we're gonna do is just add a crop again, but this is a little more complicated than just adding, you know, left crop, because what we're gonna do after adding crop here, we are going to actually draw the crop around Ryan. Basically just draw a nice crop around his body. We're gonna try to stay as close to him as possible, but since he's not having much movement, it doesn't have to be very, you know, specific. And what we're gonna do is actually track this crop. Press this, and what this does is kind of keeps the mask going, and it's not always perfect, so you might have to adjust a few things like this. Now that he's tracked, we are going to invert and apply the crop. You see that difference? Now we have brought the old Ryan back from the first shot. And finally, we're gonna add a 3rd layer doing the same thing. So we added another angle of Ryan being all the way over here. Again, there was a cameraman in this shot. As you can see, this was the original shot. It's just hidden because we still have this layer on top of it. So this is very helpful. And then we are gonna do the same thing where we draw around his body. And once that is done, we are going to track him. Take the crop, and now you see all 3 of him. So not only is the cameraman gone from the frame, but you also see 3 of Ryan just, working to find a clue. And this is so much more visually appealing than just staring at him looking for clues by himself with the cameraman. So this was one of the ways to make this video very interesting. The rest of the video is also very straightforward. It's really, really fun, ends in Dungeons & Dragons theme. So I highly recommend you guys go watch it. And that was my quick behind the scenes for Escape the Kitchen this year. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.